I said in my last RE video that Resident Evil 3 was my least played of the classic series, having only been in it once before. But if you'd believe me, I played Code Veronica even less. Up until now, I've never beaten this one. I've tried a few times but got bored and frustrated halfway through. So I wrote it down as one of the 2 Resident Evil games I can definitively say I didn't like very much. But that ends today. I've now played Code Veronica all the way through. Have my opinions changed? You'll just have to watch and see. Hello everybody, my name is Wesker, and today I ask what even was Resident Evil Code Veronica. A lot of people consider this game the true Resident Evil 3, because of its direct continuation of the story from 2. Though I don't agree, I can see why. Claire Redfield is still looking for her missing brother, Chris Redfield, which leads her to an Umbrella facility in Paris, where she's being chased down by a literal attack helicopter. I don't know what happened between games, but Claire is a superhero all of a sudden. I mean, Leon is too in RE4, but that was explained away with 6 years of training and experience. Hold on. How long after RE2 is... What? Apparently Code Veronica takes place around December 1998 to January 1999. Chris, what did you teach her? Claire is just built differently, I guess. After that, Claire gets captured because she runs out of bullets in the worst possible time. Now, this is actually symbolism for how this is a survival horror game and it gives you 3 bullets for every 5 enemies. And she's taken to Rockford Island to be locked away. It's the first fully 3D Resident Evil, and it's shown off with the power of light. It's funny how this is still the way Capcom are showing off their technology in the latest game. The island is under attack, so this guy lets us out as his good deed of the day. And of course, since this is a Resident Evil, the attack led to the release of the T-Virus, spawning hordes of the undead. So it's up to Claire to find her way off the island and continue her search for her brother. Even though this game is fully 3D, it's still the classic Resident Evil formula. Tank controls, lock-on aim, door cutscenes, except the camera is no longer fixed. The 3D world allows it to move with you, doing things like following you down hallways and panning around rooms showing what creepers are hiding. This game is an upgrade in a lot of ways to Resident Evil 3, but it's also a massive downgrade. Obviously 3D graphics are much more taxing than pre-rendered backgrounds, even on the fancy new Dreamcast. So the locations feel quite a bit more flat and empty. It's kind of like the Spencer Mansion, compared to the cluttered streets of Raccoon City and the rundown halls of the RPD. Quick turning returns, which is great, but to walk upstairs, you're back to having to press a button for an animation of walking up, instead of seamlessly walking up yourself. You can't craft ammo anymore, and the dodge doesn't return, which I'm honestly perfectly fine with, most of the time. Because this game's tone is closest to Resident Evil 2, with only a few actiony moments thrown in. Like when you step out and are instantly showered with gunfire, you fight back and it stops, revealing my all-time least favorite Resident Evil character, Steve Burnside.
Relax, beautiful. I said I was sorry.
But I'm not going to worry about him now, we have an island to explore. This game has some of the least satisfying survival horror design, and I think the size of the map is partly to blame. Instead of going through areas one at a time, you have most of the island available to you from the start, so it's very easy to get lost. It doesn't help that you pick up items you don't need for seemingly hours. Resident Evil games are fun, because every puzzle leads into each other. You explore rooms, and those rooms have the items you need to open the next rooms, and so on. In Code Veronica, it's more like roadblock after roadblock, where you think you're making progress then hit a brick wall. There are sometimes whole massive areas you go through just for one item. I've never said so now what more times when playing a game. A good example on how many areas you have to go through just to make a tiny bit of progress is in the palace. You'll find a door with slots for 2 guns. The guns are not far away either, but they're booby trapped, so you have to leave them for now. You find a wheel to use outside, but as you're leaving, Steve's dumbass gets trapped and you have to save him, but he refuses to give you the guns. So you use the wheel you got to head down to the underwater airport, where after going through this whole big ass area, you get one item, a key card. And this is where a lot of people get lost. You have to go around to this door that's tucked away in a corner, almost invisible, to go to the training facility that I actually really like. It's actually very self-contained and fun, and probably the best part of the game. Then you find SMGs that you can finally trade to Steve to get the guns. But then the door you use the guns for, it's pretty much only used to get a key, to get a crest, that's used all the way back at the start of the game, so you have to go all the way back. You see my point yet? It doesn't help that a lot of the rooms of different areas look basically the same. So even when you know what room you need to go to, it's possible to forget where you're even meant to go. The map being so big is even worse because of how few item boxes there are, and just how long the door animations can be. There are sometimes these scared sequences where Claire hesitates to open the door, which take forever. While you explore, you meet the obnoxious Alfred Ashford, one half of the Ashford twins. The Ashfords being a family that's partly responsible for the formation of Umbrella. I find Alfred very annoying. The acting as a whole is a step down from RE2 and 3. Alison Court is back as Claire, and she's good as always. I'll give the game that. But every other character is so over the top and annoying. Especially Steve Burnside, who I hate with all of my being. All he does is get in the way and objectify Claire. There are people who genuinely ship him with Claire, and I think those people should seek medical attention immediately. Maybe maybe I'm being a little too harsh, but I really can't think of anything I like about him. His arc is that his father worked with Umbrella and apparently wasn't very reliable to Steve, and evidently to Umbrella, because he got him and Steve imprisoned at Rockford Island, because he was selling Umbrella's secrets. So Steve starts off not trusting anyone, but over time warms up to Claire, who teaches him that he's not alone, and can trust in others, as long as he asks. Aww. That sounds like a pretty good arc, huh? Yeah, I got that from the wiki. In the game, he's just a whiny jagoff who constantly borderline harasses Claire, to the point that he gets so distracted by her ass that he floods the room with poisonous gas. He even tries to kiss her while she's unconscious, then has the gall to tell her he loves her. Steve isn't a bad character in concept. He just needs better acting and way better writing. I haven't played Resident Evil The Dark Side Chronicles yet, so I don't know if he's improved at all. But if the rumors of a Code Veronica remake end up being true, I can't wait to see what they do with him. Before I went on a rant about Steve, I mentioned the Ashford twins. They were born as sort of a way to revive their ancestor Veronica Ashford, focusing on recreating her genius. To restore the family's falling reputation, Alexa was a complete success. Alfred, though still smarter than average, didn't match Alexia's genius, so Alfred grew up idolizing her. Alexia ends up conducting T-virus research, eventually creating the T-Veronica strand, which is designed to let the infected keep their brain functions. She ends up testing on her father, Alexander, which fails, so he's locked away. So she ends up experimenting on herself, realizing the body needs time to adapt to the virus, so she locks herself away in a cryogenic coma, which Alfred doesn't take very well. He ends up dressing up and pretending to be her when things get hard to deal with. Alexia is actually really cool, I don't mind her at all as a villain. But for most of the game, the villain is Alfred, who I can't stand, mainly from just his obnoxious voice. But I do like how he just gets more and more deranged as the game goes on. That's kind of a good way to describe most of this game. It's good, but kind of annoying. Like the new big enemy of this game, the Bandersnatch. They're introducing a Resident Evil no-no where you have to kill it. These guys aren't too tough though, more annoying than anything. They're slow, but their arms are like heat-seeking missiles, and will more often than not hit you. Killing them isn't too much of a problem with how strong Claire's weapons are. Just like in Resident Evil 2, she has a grenade launcher and a bowgun. But now she can also dual-wield these semi-auto pistols that can lock onto two enemies at once. It's very powerful, but the ammo is limited, so use it wisely. There's a part that really confused me where you have to find a glass eye to continue, and I couldn't find it for the life of me. And that's because you have to kill this one specific zombie to get it, with no visual indicator that you're meant to do it other than there being a cutscene. Which doesn't really mean much, because zombies are introduced with cutscenes all the time, especially in this game. At least most of the puzzles are actually really good. Where this game struggles is with the RE1 style put item here puzzles, but it makes up for it with the RE3 style brain teasers, like this one with the music box, where you need to find the password for a computer, and to get it you have to rotate the symbol in the music box correctly. The computer screen also has footage of RE2 and 3 on it, which is cool. Or this one where you have to press buttons on paintings in the right order to get an item, so you have to study a note very closely to figure out which order to do. These are all quite fun, and already knowing the answers makes them easy on a second run. So there isn't really any dread like Resident Evil 3 with that goddamn water puzzle. That dread is saved for the boss fights. That's a little disingenuous. Most of the boss fights aren't that bad, but that's most as in 2 out of 3. Technically 5, but you don't have to kill the giant worm and the giant spider. Can I just say how cool the spider looks trapped under the ice? It's so creepy and one of my favorite visuals in the entire series. The first major boss is with Tyrant, and I know if you've played this game, I just gave you a Cloud Strife flashback. You face him when you and Steve finally escape from the island, when it climbs into the plane by the cargo hold. This is by far the worst designed boss in the entire series. This is where I gave up my first time playing this game. If it attacks, there's basically nothing you can do except take the hit. You're given this box that you can release to try and hit him off, which does a bit of damage, but using just the box takes like 5 hits to kill. So you have no choice but to face this guy. I'm not gonna lie to you, I had a peek at some YouTube guides to learn how to get around him. If you stay behind him, you can keep him stuck turning around so he can't attack, letting you wait for the crate to reset. What I did was blast everything I had into him, then desperately try not to get hit. It was so annoying, and took way too long, especially because of the door animation beforehand. In my notes, the only thing I have for Tyrant is fuck you, so take that as you will. As for the other 2 boss fights, I'll save them for later, because right now, I want to talk about the mastermind behind the attack, Albert Wesker. Wesker survived the mansion and is out collecting viruses like Pokemon, and today he has his sights on the T Veronica virus. Wesker has a bit of a vendetta, a Resident Evil vendetta if you will, for Chris Redfield, because when he showed Chris his science fair project, he just laughed in his face, shattering him, and without Megan Fox to deal with him, Wesker had to do it himself. Wesker is by no means the main villain. He just pops in from time to time like, yo. All of his scenes with Chris are really fun and overly dramatic. I love just how much they hate each other. Speaking of Chris Redfield, after you and Steve escape the island, your plane's autopilot is hijacked, and you're taken to an umbrella facility in Antarctica, where you explore for a bit until you're met by what's left of Alexander Ashford, or as he's known now, Nosferatu. This boss actually isn't too bad. You're given a sniper rifle to take him out from afar. Even if you die, there's a checkpoint, which caught me off guard for a second, because this is the first time there's a checkpoint in any Resident Evil game. At least for me. There might be one earlier in the game. But when you defeat him, you escape by snowmobile, but are stopped by the now awake Alexa Ashford. Then you swap to Chris motherfucking Redfield, still wearing his SARS uniform. Talk about loyalty, as he searches for Claire. Something that doesn't make sense is that Claire has been looking for Chris. That's the whole reason she's here in the first place. But apparently Leon already found him, because she contacts Leon at the start to contact Chris. So why is the story happening in the first place? Who cares? You're given a ton of weapons and ammo as Chris, so you can kinda go crazy. Except Wesker brought some old friends, the Hunters, including a new breed that poisons you when you get hit. Chris's section on the island is mostly fine. I got lost way less than when playing with Claire, mainly because you're mostly locked into the training facility, so if you don't know where to go, it's not too long to find it, and I really like his goofy run animation. But when playing Chris, I kinda felt the length of this game. I had a super embarrassing final time for the amount of experience I had with the series. My final time ended up being almost 9 hours, which is longer than RE1 and 2 combined. Just shows how confusing this game can be. Chris eventually makes it to the Arctic base, where Alexia takes over as the lead villain. You take an elevator, which call me crazy, but I think they used the same sample as the minikit sound effect for the doors. The elevator takes you to an area very reminiscent to the Spencer Mansion, even having a door behind the painting in the main hall, like a remake that was still a year off when this game came out. You find Claire and play her for a little bit. You share an item box between Claire and Chris, so be careful not to lock your best weapons in Claire's inventory. You find Steve and he turns into those turtle guys from FF7 and chases you down in this genuinely bullshit encounter. From what I can tell, you're forced to get hit here. And it's not a small hit either, not like a little jab. He puts you in red. Thank God I had healing. Then Steve dies. You swap back to Chris to battle Alexia, who has these cool fire powers. Wesker also joins in to show that he's watched The Matrix sometime between RE1 and now. You defeat Alexia pretty easily, and head to blow this place up. The self-destruct code is, you'll never guess, Veronica. Code Veronica. Resident Evil Code Veronica. Resident Evil Code Veronica X! Then it's final boss time, with mutated Alexia. This one was annoying, but not hard. It was the only boss I beat first try, mainly because Chris is loaded at all times. It's just annoying because there's these bugs that are always hitting you, and her tentacles are also annoying to dodge. Her second phase takes really cool advantage of the 3D world, by having you scope in with a railgun to try and hit her in the air. With the Ashfords defeated, Umbrella are now one step closer to be taken down. Chris runs to escape, shoulder barging every zombie in the way. Never change, Chris, never change. When we are met by Albert Wesker. One last time. Chris tells Claire to go because the gay tension is too much, and Chris and Wesker face off, where Wesker destroys Chris. That's one way to inspire Chris to hit the gym, and other things. But Chris gets saved by the bell, where Wesker promises that they haven't met for the last time, and laughs maniacally, surrounded by flames and debris. Chris and Claire escape, finally reunited, and prepare to take out Umbrella once and for all. Hell yeah, what an ending. I can't wait to see what game I get to cover next. Oh, for fuck. Wait, don't go yet. There's one more thing I want to talk about, and that's the battle mode. This time around, you play as Claire, Steve, and Chris. The cool thing about this one is that you can actually unlock new characters and skins. This is the first Resident Evil game with EX characters with different loadouts. The way this one works is you go room to room, having to kill every enemy before moving on, but you're given infinite ammo, so it's all about speed. And at the end, you fight a random boss. A cool thing is you can actually play in first person, which is as clunky as it sounds, but it's cool to have and is worth playing at least once. And that's Code Veronica. I can safely say that I don't really like this game, but I can see why people do. It's kind of a you had to be there, and I think it's aged the worst out of all of the Resident Evil games. I think out of every Resident Evil game, including RE2 and 3, this is the game that needs a remake the most. I think there's a lot of cool ideas and fun story points, but the game itself is just so flawed. But what do you think? That's all from me. Use code VOLSKATE in the Epic Games Store if you want. I'll be making a members only video soon, so if you want to see that, press the join button. On stream, we are currently going through Resident Evil Revelations raid mode, so if you want to join in on that, put on notifications for live streams, and I'll see you all in a minute.